ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם שהכל נהיה בדברו. Tonight is Chanukah. We lit the first candle and we will add a new candle every night for 8 nights. What are we celebrating? We are celebrating the victory of the Hashmonaim over the Assyrian oppressors who had become Hellenized. Of course, in a calendar that has so many sad days, tragic events that we commemorate, we certainly welcome a happy occasion for the Jewish people which Chanukah commemorates. It is a demonstration that conviction of one's rights, of one's ideals, conviction of the justice of the cause of the Jewish people was able to overcome, and few were able to be victorious over the many. The weak against the strong. This is what we repeat in a prayer every day, morning, afternoon, and evening, in a prayer called Al Hanisim. What are we commemorating? We are commemorating the fact that notwithstanding the strength and the might of the occupiers of Israel, a small group of people who, as I said, were very firm in their conviction, were able to overcome much larger forces. What is the difference between what happened in Chanukah and even Yetziat Mitzrayim, the exodus of Egypt, or the fight against the Babylonians who destroyed the first temple, or the Persians? We have had many enemies throughout our history, but they were not as formidable as the Greek culture, because others relied on brute strength, might, and that was it. But Greek culture, on the other hand, was an intellectual version of a culture that admired beauty, that had an interpretation of what's going on in this world. They were highly intellectual, very well read and cultured. Theater, there were many attractions that they instituted in their society. Therefore, a number of our brethren were also overcome. In a certain sense, they were hypnotized by the power of Greek culture. So in a sense, this was the hardest fight that Judaism had. And what was the difference of Judaism? We were not against what the Greeks were proposing, but we introduced a moral coordinate that the Greeks did not have. We said that your personal conduct has an influence on what happens in this world. This world is not only about beauty, it is also about ethics, about a certain behavior that each and every one of us has to use in order to conduct the affairs of his life. So that the confrontation between Jews and Egypt was very difficult. With the Babylonians was very difficult, but the most difficult was really with the Greeks. And that confrontation is still valid today. There are still many among our people who are enamored by the enchantment of beauty, of art, which is fine. And they leave, unfortunately, morality and ethics on the side. After 2,000 years, do we still have to celebrate Chanukah? Because Chanukah is also a celebration against anti-Semitism, because the Syrians hated those who were different from them, not only because they didn't follow their culture, because they had the originality, the will to separate themselves and be different. This continues even today. One would have thought that after the Holocaust, after what happened during the Second World War, when the entire world seemed to have taken conscience of brutality against the Jewish people, we see once again a resurgence of anti-Semitism, especially in Europe, in the Middle East, in many parts of the world. As somebody said, anti-Semitism is a very weak sleeper. It is always ready to wake up again. And unfortunately, we see a resurgence of that. So what are we to say today in front of this fact? There is one difference between today and 100 years ago when Chanukah was being celebrated. Today there is Medinat Israel. And Medinat Israel, a Jewish state, is certainly the best answer against anti-Semitism. So let us continue kindling our candles in our homes, permitting that its light illuminate, shed its light over the entire home, Each and every night we'll be adding on another candle, and let us hope that its light accompanies us throughout the entire year until next Chanukah, when we will once again illuminate our homes with a candle. I wish you all a very happy Chanukah, a Freilichen Chanukah to everybody.